In this video, you will become more familiar with a few advanced examples of how to use the filter function from the dplyr package. We will again be using the happy data frame, which, as a reminder, looks like this. Let's warm up with a relatively simple example of how we can use the filter function. Say we want to only keep those countries that have a GDP greater than 9 that are not Panama. Recall that we can insert more than one condition within the filter function. Looking at the happy data frame, we see that the only country that does not meet the GDP condition is the Comoros. And the second condition states that we must exclude Panama from our output. Here's how we can achieve this using the filter function. We first specify that we want GDP to be greater than 9, followed by a comma, and we then specify the country underscore name must not be equal to Panama using the not equal to operator, which is an exclamation mark followed by an equals to sign. Looking at the output, we confirm that running this code drops both the Comoros and Panama. The greater than and not equal to operators are examples of what are known as relational operators. You can use relational operators to compare things in R. This table shows the 6 relational operators in R along with their descriptions. We have equals to, does not equal to, is greater than, is less than, is greater than or equal to, and finally, is less than or equal to. Take a moment to familiarize yourself with these operators because you will be using them a lot, and not just within the filter function. Another important operator to familiarize yourself with is the OR operator, which is represented by the pipe symbol. Note, don't confuse this with dplyr's pipe operator. To see how this works, let's take a look at a simple example. Say we want to only keep those countries with extreme GDPs, which let's say for example is less than 9 or greater than 10. This means that we only want to keep the Comoros, Panama, and Spain. We can do this by using the OR operator. We read this as keep those countries that have a GDP that is less than 9 or that have a GDP that is greater than 10. And we confirm that this code produces the desired output. Another important operator to be aware of is the negation operator, which is represented by an exclamation mark. As you might guess, this operator negates or does the opposite of whatever comes after it. Let's take a look at a simple example to see how this works. Let's discard all the countries that have a GDP that is less than 9. We first set our condition to be GDP less than 9, and we negate this by placing an exclamation mark in front of this condition. So we can read this as only keep countries that have a GDP that is not less than 9. And looking at the output, we see that we now only have countries with GDPs greater than or equal to 9. What about negating multiple conditions? This is where things can get a little tricky. Say we now want to discard countries that have a GDP that is either less than 9 or greater than 10. It looks like this should work. We state our conditions and place an exclamation mark before them. But when we take a look at the output, we see that something looks off. We're supposed to only retain countries that have GDPs that are between 9 and 10, but both Panama and Spain have GDPs that are above 10. So what went wrong? This error has to do with something known as operator precedence. In R, there is a hierarchy or order in which operations get executed. And in R, negation precedes OR, meaning that the negation part of a statement gets evaluated first, and then the OR part gets evaluated. Follow this link to learn more about the details of operator precedence. So the way to read this code is that we are asking R to keep those countries that either do not have a GDP that is less than 9 or have a GDP that is greater than 10. Put another way, we are asking R to keep those countries that have a GDP that is either greater than or equal to 9 or greater than 10, which is why we get countries with GDPs greater than 10 in our output. Here's the correct way to do what we want. We simply place our OR condition within parentheses. This ensures that this gets evaluated first. And we place the exclamation mark outside of the parentheses to negate this. Looking at the output, we confirm that we now only keep countries with GDPs that are between 9 and 10. The final very useful operator we will take a look at in this video is called the in operator. Let's use a simple example to see how this works. Say we only want to keep the countries Iraq, Panama, and the Maldives. Here's one way to do this. We read this as keep rows if their country name equals Iraq, or equals Panama, or equals Maldives. And we see that we get the correct output. This is fine, but is there a way to avoid writing multiple OR statements? We could simply try this. Does country name equal Iraq, or Panama, or Maldives? Unfortunately, this throws an error. This is where the in operator comes in handy. Instead of writing multiple OR statements, we use the in operator like this and supply our country names as a character vector. And this produces our desired output. And how do we negate the in operation? Simple. We use the exclamation mark. And we output only those countries that were not mentioned in the character vector. There you go. You now know how to perform some pretty advanced data wrangling using the filter function from the dplyr package.